Welcome to the Hawthorn Cottage Craft Podcast. Today is Wednesday the 23rd of May 2018 and this is episode 24. I'm Kate. You can find me on Instagram as Kate_Hawthorn Cottage Craft, on Ravelry as a runner bean, and we have a Ravelry group called Hawthorn Cottage Craft, which is all one word, podcast group. There you'll find show notes for each episode, you'll find the giveaways, any general chit chat, any threads that are open there, introduction threads, etc. Thank you for coming back. If you're a returning viewer, it's lovely to see you again. It's always nice to share a couple with you. If you are here for the first time, you're very welcome. It's lovely to see you and I hope you feel very welcome here. If you are here for the first time, pop over to the Ravelry group and introduce yourself. It'd be lovely to meet you. I'll get back to you as I always do, and just generally enjoy yourself here. If you haven't subscribed, please feel free to subscribe and like the videos. It's lovely to get the word out about our wee community. So I hope you have your cuppa and your knitting and we can get on with sharing what we've been doing for the last few weeks. In the last episode I told you about 3 beautiful patterns that were very kindly donated to the podcast. I opened up 3 threads in the podcast group and you just had to go over and comment in each of the threads to be in with the chance of winning that particular pattern. I have drawn the 3 winners. Random number generator did that for me, and when the winners are announced, if you see this, please contact me and I will let the designers know and they will gift you the patterns. The first pattern was the Bride by the Sea shawl by Jen Sheelan. And the winner for that was number 2, and that was Emma Call, who is Linda from Pennsylvania. The Only Way is Up Cowl, which is by Naomi Buchanan, who is Cozy Cute Knits. That was won by number 22 in that thread, and that was Stacey Jones. And the final shawl was the Culhane shawl by Madeline Windsor, who is Kingfisher Knits, and that was won by number 21, who was Rusty Magnolia. So if the 3 winners could please contact me, as I said, and then I can pass on those details. Congratulations, they are all beautiful projects and I can't wait to see what you use to knit those with and see your finished projects. Again, thank you to the designers. It was a pleasure to be able to showcase your work and to pass those on. Over the past little while, different people have asked me different questions on Ravelry and through Instagram and in the comments here on the YouTube channel. Questions about my knitting history, just generally about life here, etc. I am more than willing to answer those. I don't think I'll do them in a normal episode. I like just to talk about the knitting there. But I would love to do a little question and answer episode just for a bit of fun. So I'm going to open a thread in the Ravelry group just for you to leave your questions. You can ask me anything about my knitting. You can ask me anything. If it's too personal, I reserve the right to refuse to answer. But generally anything goes, and I'll try and answer your questions as fully as I can. So think about what you'd like to ask, pop it into the thread that'll be open there in the group, and I'll record my answers in the not too distant future, and we'll have a wee bit of fun getting to know each other a wee bit better. So on with the knitting. All the admin's done. It's time to talk about the actual knitting. It has been a busy few weeks in knitting. I have been working through things and getting things finished off, and I've had a few cast-ons, and I've just generally been really enjoying my knitting over the last few weeks. The last episode I talked about my Dobby as a Free Elf socks, and I wanted to get those finished. They've been on the needles for quite a wee while, but I really enjoyed working on these, but I really wanted to get them finished and on. So sure enough, I got them done and I am thrilled with them. They've been hanging here in the craft room since I finished them, and they've been finished now a couple of weeks, and I'm desperate to wear them because I can still wear socks here even though the weather has improved. I can wear my wool socks. So I've kept them in pristine shape for you. This is the Dobby as a Free Elf colourway from Nomadic Yarns. I am a mad keen Harry Potter fan. I love everything about it. Dobby's one of my favourite characters, and I really wanted a Dobby pair of socks. Although Dobby would be shocked and alarmed that they match, but I wanted them to match. So Dobby is a Free Elf colourway by Nomadic Yarns. It's an 80/20 superwash BFL nylon. It's her Brit sock base. I did a contrast heel and toe, and the colour for that, if you that's better, is Tealicious 75/25 superwash merino nylon by Ellie and Ada. And it's the Afterthought heel by Laura Lineman, which has now become my go-to heel for speed. And it's a fantastic heel if you want to keep your stripes regular in a self-striping yarn. I have downloaded another heel pattern that I'm going to try in the future, and I'll talk about it then because I can't even remember the name of it, that's meant to be very good for self-striping yarn. But I like this one in particular because I don't really have to think about it. I did a 20 row rib, 64 stitch cast on, 2.5mm 1.5 US needle, 20 rows of the 2x2 rib. I'd normally do between 15 and 20 rows. I really wanted it to finish on a band of colour. I wanted the sock then to start in a new colour, so it worked out as 20 rows. The pattern for the sock is a free pattern from Ravelry. It's the Vanilla Latte Socks by Virginia Rose Jeans. Virginia Rose Jeans, free pattern, and it's a 6x2 rib. So it's very simple, but it just breaks the monotony of a vanilla sock. I did the pattern down the foot and just vanilla on the bottom. And I'm thrilled with these. I'm desperate to get them on. I've had them hanging in here long enough, and I'm looking forward to get them on. So those are finally done. But because I had done Dobby socks for myself, I couldn't leave Dobby out. Dobby had to get a sock. Meet my pal Dobby. Dobby was bought to me at Christmas, and he normally sits just there on the back of my chair. But Dobby was sockless and needed a sock of his own, which I did. Maybe I have little to do with my time, I do not know, but Dobby got a sock with an Afterthought heel, rounded toe, in his own yarn. And I think he looks rather handsome. So now he'll have to get a sock for this foot of a different colour, because Dobby does not like matching socks. So I have my Dobby socks. He has his sock, and we can now watch the movies together and listen to the audiobooks together wearing our socks. Little amuses the innocent, as they say, and sometimes less the fool. But anyway, Dobby is wearing his new sock. So that was my first finished object. My second finished object, my surprise party shawl, is off the needles. This was so close to being finished the last time, but the row lengths were incredibly long, and I was determined to finish it. The surprise party shawl is a pattern by Helen Stewart, who is Curious Handmade, and this was designed for the grocery girls, this particular pattern. There was a different colourway for each lady. There was a colourway for Tracy and there was a colourway for Jodie, and that was dyed up by Hugh Loco. And I got the kit that was for Tracy's shawl, and this is my finished shawl. Isn't it just amazing? I love it. I haven't any finished object pictures of it yet. but I just love this. It has come out beautifully. It is so light, and styling dilemmas again, but this will be it. I just think it sits so prettily. I'm thrilled with it. This is going to be my shawl over the weekend when I'm at Woolen, even though there's nothing Irish about it. I'm going to wear it anyway. I love the colours. It was the I Can't Even colourway in the kits. I knit this in a 4mm needle, which is a US 6. I love the drape. I think it drapes so beautifully. And I'm just over the moon with how it's turned out. In previous episodes you've seen the different stages. So I was very close to the end. I think the last time you saw it I was actually just into here. I had about 10 or 15 rows to do. So I brought it to Atlantic Knitscape with me, which was 2 weekends ago. 1 weekend ago. It was the beginning of May, or near the beginning of May. And I brought it with me, and it was a great knit for there because the pattern was just very simple at this stage. And the last number of rows are just stocking stitch, so not even stocking stitch, it's garter stitch. And I left the picot bind off until I got home, and it really didn't take very long. I thought it was going to be a bigger task than it was, and it just finishes off the shawl beautifully. So I worked on it at Atlantic Knitscape, and if you want to see any of the work I was doing at Atlantic Knitscape, pop over to Babel's Travelling Yarns, to Grace's podcast. Grace has an episode which is the Atlantic Knitscape retreat episode, and on that her and I and Catherine, who organises Atlantic Knitscape, have a great chat, and you'll see this shawl there when I was about 2 or 3 rows from the end. So if you want to see that, pop over to Babel's Travelling Yarns and see her episode. But that's it, not all its glory. I will get photographs taken. I just don't know how to or where to get my photographs for it. It needs somewhere that'll do it justice, and it's lovely. I love this shawl. It will get a lot of wear. So that was the second finished object. My final finished object for this week is my Parisian Dreams sweater. This was a test knit for Mina Phillip, who is Knitting Expat Designs and from the Knitting Expat podcast, which I'm sure all of you know. Mina put out a call on Instagram a couple of months ago for test knitters for this particular design. She put up photographs of it, and because it's a sweater, you know I love my sweater knitting, and just the style of the sweater really appealed to me. So I jumped at the chance, asked could I be part of the test knit crew, and she very thankfully accepted me onto it. And I had so much fun knitting this project. It's a fingering weight sweater, and Mina's sample, and from what I can see a lot of the other test knitters, they've knitted in a variegated indie yarn, and they're beautiful, really stunning. But you know me, I like my solid semi-solids for my sweaters, and that was the look I wanted to go for. And I have to say, I think it worked really well. It has really showcased the pattern and the design that she has created. I will show you the sweater without any further ado, rather than keeping it on my knee. This is the finished object. It has been folded, so it's a little bit creased at the minute. I will insert some photographs here of the finished object. So this is a fingering weight sweater, as I said. I got my yarn from Woolly Mammoth Fibre Company. This is her label. And Woolly Mammoth is a local yarn dyer to me. She's about an hour away from me, Emma. And she is a natural dyer. So this is all naturally dyed. And it's all 100% British wool. It's BFL and Massam wool, Blueface Leicester and Massam. And her colourway is Faded Heather. And if you want to see a beautiful Instagram feed, go and look at Woolly Mammoth Fibre. It's stunning. Her aesthetic is just beautiful. She is a photographer and you can just see that in her work. It's beautiful, and her yarn colours are lovely. But this was a colour actually that really appealed to me because I knew it would be quite a versatile colour and a light enough colour for the spring and maybe the autumn, as this sweater will be ideal for. It's warm, but it's light. The yarn has really a lot of drape. If you can see, there's a halo to it. And it's very, very soft and beautiful to work with. But what I really liked, and I was a bit concerned when I started because it is soft. It does feel very soft. I thought, how is this going to hold the actual pattern? And it has really held the design. This is a beautiful design, which is a mix of lace and cable. And I have to say, when I saw the lace and the cable, I was slightly daunted. I thought this could be difficult, but it really isn't. It's a very, very simple cable and lace pattern. So if you haven't tried it before, this is certainly one that you can try. And the joy of it is, if the entire sweater had been cable and lace, it would have been more daunting. But the back of the sweater is stocking stitch. And now it's knit in the round, and you always feel as though you've got a rest from the cable and lace when you're knitting the back. And it just really was a beautiful knit. You knit all in the one piece, and there's like a drop shoulder. And then the sleeves, and because there's a drop shoulder, the sleeves don't take very long to knit, because you're already part of the way down the arm. You picked up the sleeves, the stitches to knit the sleeves on. This is a really, really lovely knit. I knit my sleeves this time. You know, I always have fun with my sleeves. I knit them on double pointed needles this time. The sweater, if I haven't already said, was knit on a 3.5mm, which is a US 4. I achieved the gauge on that. And what was very interesting was I have achieved the gauge and the measurements are according to the pattern, but I used so little yarn for this. I knit, I think I was the second size, and I used just over 2 skeins of this. There's 400 meters in 406 meters in each skein, 100-gram skein of this particular yarn. And I had bought 4 skeins thinking I would need at least 3 and a bit, and I used 2 and a bit. All the details, I have a project page. I'm very bad at project pages in Ravelry, but there is a project page for this on Ravelry. It's the Parisian Dreams sweater. So I was very pleasantly surprised at how little it used. I'm really pleased with the fit. As soon as it was off the mats and dry, I got dressed up and got my husband to take me down to the shore to take some finished object pictures. And I just love it. And I think this is going to get a lot of wear. I will wear this at woolen as well. And because the yarn is hand-dyed here in Ireland, in Northern Ireland, it can be part of the woolen wardrobe. And I will wear this because it's, as I said, it's light enough to wear at this time of year, and because we don't get extreme warm temperatures. Fantastic, fantastic pattern. Certainly jump at it if you see it. It will be released. She put a post on, Mina put a post on Instagram yesterday to say that it will be released this week, towards the end of this week. So keep an eye out for that, and certainly jump at it when you see it. I think it's going to be one of my, I love all my sweaters when I knit them, but I think this is going to be a lovely sweater because although it's, I think it can be quite dressy. And a lot of my sweaters are very, very casual, but this can be really dressed up, and it's just a beautiful piece. So I was thrilled to do the test knit for that, and I'm really thrilled that the sweater is off the needles and ready to go. So those are all my finished objects. Not bad for a few weeks, considering there are also cast-ons and works in progress to show you as well. I have also been working on some socks. I had mentioned it the last time, I can't remember, I don't think I showed it to you the last time, a pair of socks that I've had on the needles for what feels like forever. And I think because they've been on the needles so long, I'm finding it really hard to get motivated to knit them. I don't think I had finished the first one the last time I'd spoken to you about them, but I made an effort to get the first sock finished. And these socks are my Atlantic Knitscape socks. I was in Atlantic Knitscape, as I said. I'm an Atlantic Knitscaper a couple of weeks ago, and I brought these with me with the idea that I might get some of them done and actually maybe coax other people to help me, which I did. But I got the first one finished before I went, and this is the first one. Back out of the way. This is the first one. The colourway is Killadoon, which is the Atlantic Knitscape colourway that Bear in Sheep's Clothing had dyed up. It's her BFL, Bear BFL sock base, 75 BFL 25 nylon, and the colourway is Killadoon. So I got the first one finished. Rounded toe, afterthought heel, I think it was a 15 row 1x1 rib, and I love the way actually this yarn pulls. I like these stripes that have formed in it. I really like that. So I got, as I said, I got the first one done, and I was determined to get the second one on the go. And I don't enjoy working the rib of any sock, and because, as I said, this one just has been going on for so long, and I was finding it hard to get motivated to get going on the second sock. This has become a very Atlantic Knitscape sock in that I am this far on the second sock and I haven't knit a stitch. People very kindly knit it for me and got coaxed into it, tricked into it. I don't know, but I appreciate what they've done, and when I wear these socks, I will always think of them. And if anybody else wants to knit on it, they're more than welcome. So the rib was knit by Susan Sharp. Susan had come over from England to go to Atlantic Knitscape, and she travelled down with me to it. Susan knit the rib, and Catherine Hastings, organiser of Atlantic Knitscape extraordinaire, knit part of it, and I think Grace, maybe you put a few rows into it as well. So they got this far, and maybe I need to continue on with it now that we're past the rib. They'll be lovely socks when they're finished, and they will always make me think of Atlantic Knitscape. But just I can't get the motivation. Do you ever get like that if something's on the needles for so long? It's not that the project isn't nice or the yarn isn't nice, it's just really hard to get motivated back into it. That's the case with these. They will be finished for an Atlantic Knitscape, I'm just not quite sure which one, and they will be worn at an Atlantic Knitscape sometime in the future. So that was kind of one sock that I've been working on, or some other people have been working on for me. But I cast on other socks, and I have, in one of the boxes here, a lot of the commercial sock yarn, which I actually love. Sock yarn, particularly for actually knitting socks, I like using the commercial sock yarn. But I love the Knit Picks Felici. I have been determined not to buy any of it recently because I have enough of it. But I had bought this a while ago, and I thought, you know what, I just feel like a pair of, they're so soft, and I have a couple of pairs and I get a lot of wear out of them. And I thought I'll pull out some of the Knit Picks Felici. And this was the colour, it's all tangled, this is the colour I pulled out. Blues and greens, and it's the Knit Picks Felici Lost Lakes. And this is a 75-25 merino nylon, superwash merino nylon, and it really is very soft, and I've always had doubts as how well it would wear, but as I said, I have a couple of pairs of Felici socks and they're great. I haven't had a problem with them. So I cast on for both socks. I decided I had enjoyed doing this at Christmas with the mini skeins I had, doing the socks at the same time. And I have 2 sets, that one's mid-row, I have 2 sets of Knit Pro Zings, double pointed needles, 2.5mm US 1.5. So I put them on at the same time, and I'm on the second one now, catching up. And this is how far I've got. I'm all of a tangle. Oops. Just talk amongst yourselves. There we go. And I love the way it's coming up. Let's see this one. A lot of people complain about some of the colours being similar, and they're not too bad actually in this sock. There's enough difference. Some of the Felici colourways, 2 of the colours can be very, very similar, but I think they're showing up quite well in this. So it's, I think there's about 20 rows in the rib. Again, as I said earlier with the Dobby socks, I just wanted to get to an end of a colour, no matter how long that took. It's a 2x2 rib. And then the pattern, there's a slip stitch pattern. I will link it in the show notes. I can't remember. I did get it off Ravelry, free pattern. But it's just a simple slip stitch. And it's enough, again, to break the monotony of the vanilla sock. And I'm really enjoying these. These do whiz up simply because it's like any self-striping. You get a stripe done, you get into a new colour, and you think, well, I'll stop when I finish this colour. And you do a few more rows. That's what I've been working on. I will, as I say, link the pattern in the show notes. But I'm enjoying these. These are my morning knit when I'm sitting over my breakfast, if the cat allows, because he takes residence on my knee in the morning when I'm having my breakfast. But if the cat allows, I get these over breakfast, and it's slow, and it's just whenever they're done, but they are knitting up quite quickly. So I'm really pleased with the sock knitting that I am doing. I also worked, as I reach down, on my little twig sweater. This I started around the time of Edinburgh Yarn Festival, and it had been put on hold because of the Parisian Dreams test knit, but I'd really wanted to get back to it because I'm enjoying this knit immensely. It's the kind of knit so far that I've been able to just to pick up and work on quite simply because there's been no shaping really until now. It's a little twig sweater by Melody Hoffman, who's a Mandarins, another Instagram feed and podcast. I just love the simplicity and the aesthetic of it. And I love all her patterns, but this one really drew me. I am knitting it in Durerum Natura Gilead worsted weight, and the colour's 4A, so forest green. And as I've said before, I'm loving this yarn. People say it is a good comparative yarn with Brooklyn Tweed. I don't know, I haven't really knit with Brooklyn Tweed, but it's a good price point, and it's, although this was gifted to me by Kira, and it's the kind of thing where you're knitting a sweater, you don't feel as though you've invested a huge amount of money in it, but you have a really beautiful garment at the end of it that, to me, I think will be very hard wearing. Anyway, I was almost, I think I've knit about 4 inches since, or 3 inches since I saw you last. So I have the body done now up to the armhole, and I have to stop and get the sleeves done. It's just plain stocking stitch. There's no shaping there at all. I'm knitting this, to get gauge, I'm knitting this on a 5mm, which is a US 8. And that is achieved gauge. And it'll just be a nice, roomy, comfortable sweater. as I said, I've got up to the armholes done, and in the pattern she starts with the sleeves, but because I was travelling with this, I wanted something that I didn't have to really think about shaping. So I started with the body, and now I'm doing the sleeves, and then it'll be joined in the round to knit the really beautiful yoke, which is the part of the sweater that drew me. And I have the sleeves started, the first one. Now I dropped to a 3.75mm, which is a US 5 needle for the cuff, because it was quite big on the 5mm needle. It would have been very loose. And they're working up quickly, and what I am enjoying and trying out for the first time is a new needle. I have tried 9-inch needles and socks, do not like them. I have tried the Crazy Trio, the Addi needles that are all the rage at the moment, not fond of them. But I've used the double pointed needles and sleeves, I've done magic loop on sleeves, and I thought I really would just like to work on the round. 9-inch isn't for me. And I noticed the 12-inch needles, and I got these from ChiaoGoo. They're the bamboo. I wanted to keep the bamboo because I'm using the Luca needles for the main body. And these are fabulous. They are just the right size for my hand. The 9-inch, I couldn't get a comfortable hold. These are just, my hands comfortably sit inside them, and I can actually work quite quickly on these. And I'm going to whiz up these sleeves. I'm travelling down to Woollen on Friday and Saturday. I'm coming home both in between, and travelling down, and I'm not driving, so I'm going to work at the sleeves in the car. And these needles are fabulous. If you have difficulty with ladders, etc. on your sleeves, you like working in the round, I strongly advise the 12-inch needle. Now, as I said, I got them from ChiaoGoo, bamboo circular, the 12-inch needle. And as I said, there's just enough to hold comfortably when I'm working on the sleeve, and not, my hands don't cramp. So these are whizzing up. I will get the sleeves done, I will join in the round as I said, and then we will start on the yoke. So I'm just plodding along with that as and when. It's the kind of thing I actually, in the evening, if I'm sitting watching TV, or if I go up to bed early and decide to watch something on the iPad or watch some podcast, it's the kind of thing I can sit and knit while I'm watching those, and it's just very relaxing. But the big new cast on came in the last week. Again, I have to reach down for it. I was delighted to be approached by the Fibre Company to be part of their beta knitting team for their new upcoming pattern and yarn collection, which will be released in the autumn. I applied when they approached me. I thought brilliant, and I applied and was very thankfully was accepted to be part of the team. This pattern collection will be a collection of garments and accessories called Borrowdale, and it'll be in their new yarn called Lower, and it's 100% lamb's wool from the Romney sheep. It's all processed in West Yorkshire, and I love the fact that the yarn is called Lower, because for me, knitting's all about storytelling. It speaks to my English teacher heart and my knitter's heart in equal measure, that our knits create stories. It creates the stories we can tell from what we're knitting. Each of my garments, I can tell you a story about it, where the yarn came from, where I bought the yarn. It just creates and weaves stories. So the fact that this was called Lower really, really jumped at me. I was given the choice. I had to pick 3 patterns from the collection and 3 of the colourways, and then I was given 1 pattern and 1 of the colourways, and I was really, really thrilled that I got my first choice. So I am going to be knitting this. I am knitting the Blee Rock sweater, and it's by Becky Baker, and it's a slouchy sweater, and it's knit in pieces, which is very unusual for me, and this kind of drew me to it. I thought, it's such a long time. I mean, that's when I first started knitting. I knit in pieces. I didn't knit in the round, but it's been a long time, so that drew me in, and the actual pattern and the design in the pattern really drew me in. The colour, I was sent the yarn for this, and it's blue, which is quite predictable. I was very drawn to the green shade that they had, but it's almost the same as the Little Twigs colour, and I thought, no, I'll go away from the green this time and go for my other predictable colour, which is blue, and this is called Calm. And it's a beautiful, beautiful yarn. It's a natural yarn. It feels quite rustic, but I started to knit, and I was a bit concerned about my gauge, just with the pattern. So and I have done a gauge swatch, but I was still a bit concerned when I started to knit, and I actually blocked the part that I have already knit. And it was amazing to see the difference. I can feel the difference in the yarn from pre-blocking to blocking. So this is what I've done so far. Yep. And it's a beautiful smock stitch. And I really can't wait to see how this works up. I'm going to be able to give you sneak previews of this as I work at it, but you're not actually going to get to see the finished object. Even if I have it done, you're not going to get to see the finished object until the pattern collection has been released in the autumn, but I can give you these sneak previews of what I'm working at. But as I was saying, this feels, it's not hard, and anyway, I don't like the word hard. It's not rough or in the ball. I like it, but some people might think it is very rustic. But once this goes into the water and is soaked and blocked, this is the softest yarn. It is really nice. You can actually see, this was the bit I blocked, and this is the bit, and it is pulled in obviously a bit because this isn't blocked. But this is so soft. There is a real, it just blooms and softens in the wash. 100% lamb's wool. This will be a delight when it's out, and the colours that will be available will be beautiful. I have photographs up on Instagram, and I'll insert some of them here. I was down at my happy spot, down on the rocks yesterday, and actually I was able to colour match the sea and the sky and this yarn, and it was just heaven. But I have those photographs up. I lost the train of thought there. I was thinking of the happy place. And there are some hashtags underneath the photographs. If you follow those, you'll see some of the other beta knitters and what they're working on and some of the colours they've got, and get sneak previews of the colourways. This will be coming out in the autumn. Thank you to the Fibre Company for letting me do this. It's going to be a joy. It's another straightforward knit. It looked very complicated when I saw the pattern. I've never done smock stitch before. I saw the pattern, I thought, oh my goodness, so easy, to the point that the pattern is now set aside until I get to the measurement that they said, and I can just work on this. You can see and read your knitting very, very easily in this. So that is my exciting new cast on. As I said, I'll keep you updated with sneak previews. And you'll see the finished object in the autumn. That will be my Rhinebeck sweater, which is exciting. So that's all I have been working on. There's quite a lot there. it's been nice to be able to work, and actually the weather has improved here that you can actually sit outside occasionally and knit, which is just lovely. But the big thing this weekend here in Ireland is the Woolen Festival. This is Ireland's first major indie yarn festival, and it takes place this weekend, Friday, Saturday and Sunday. There are classes I think on Sunday, but the actual festival is Friday and Saturday, the marketplace. And as I said earlier, I'm travelling down on Friday, coming home on Friday night and going back down again on Saturday. It's only a couple of hours drive from here, and I am really looking forward to it. It's very, very exciting that we have a festival like this coming up. There are a range of fabulous vendors, both local and from further afield, coming. And if you look on Instagram and search the hashtag for Woolen Dublin, which I'll put on the screen, you'll see lots of people getting ready and getting their cars loaded and their vans loaded and heading over. I will also put the website for you to browse through, and you'll see who's vending here. It's very exciting. There are lots of classes. There are lots of designers coming over and teaching. Nathan Taylor, who's sock matician, Justina Lakowska. Oh, there are loads coming over. Check the website. And on Saturday, I'm very excited to be going to Kate Davies' talk about her newest project, and just I think it's generally her life story and how she's got to where she is now. It was on in Edinburgh, and I had saved it for this. I waited so that I could see her at this, and I'm really excited about that on Saturday afternoon. So that's the weekend. I will take as much footage as I can. If you see me there, come up and say hello. I had planned to have pins, but I had a problem with my supplier, so I don't have any pins. I'm sorry. But come up and say hello and have a chat. I will be browsing around the marketplace, looking around, but a lot of the time I think I'm just going to be sitting, knitting and chatting and catching up and drinking lots of coffee and having a bit of a chin wag. So please feel free to come up and say hello and chat. That is Woolen. It's coming up. I'll take footage. I'll show you that the next time. Atlantic Knitscape took place. It was another wonderfully relaxed weekend, and I'll put footage there. My theme seems to have been the sea. I was there yesterday. I needed the sea yesterday, and I have footage from the Mayo scenery as usual. And also I had a little trip to the Giant's Causeway when Susan was here with a bit of time before she left on the Monday, and she wanted to see the Giant's Causeway. So that's an hour, 20 minutes from here. So again, I took footage of that, and I'll insert all that at the end, and you'll see all of that. Anyway, less of the babble, and I hope you have a fun few weeks knitting, enjoying your weather, enjoying the summer as you come into it. Autumn, winter, if you're coming into that you're just enjoying getting time to cozy up and knit. Have a wonderful few weeks, and I'll talk to you very soon. Bye. Must have been some almighty battle when these rocks got lobbed between the two giants. What did we say the Scottish one was called? Benadonnan?
Benadonna.
And Finn McCool, who I knit socks for. Welcome to the Giant's Causeway. Out there, Scotland, and the other side of this, on Staffa.